Hey, y'all, Alyece Smith here, and welcome to the Socially Awesome podcast, where we empower mompreneurs to implement simple social media strategies into their businesses and elevate their online presence. I'm a mompreneur of three, an affiliate marketer, a network marketer, an influencer, a social media marketing agency owner, and your personal guru. I am here to give you tips, tricks, and tools that you need to build your social media business. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back. Alyece Smith here with Socially Awesome, and I'm very excited today to bring you another female entrepreneur interview. Today we are with Sarah Glenn. She's with Social Jane. Thank you so much for joining me, Sarah.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, and I'm excited because I want to hear about your story. I know we met in person at the Like a Gold Digger conference recently, and we've been in coaching together, and I've watched this pivot from you. You always have this very calm presence, so I'm so excited to bring you to my very Hot Mess Express followers today. And I say that with all the love, but they know that Alyece is all over the place. So I'm excited to bring your calm energy into this group because we need it. We need it. So let's start out by you telling me a little bit about you. Who do you serve? How do you help people? Tell me about your experience and what you offer.
Absolutely. So hi to everyone. Thank you so much for the calm presence. I feel like I get that a lot. And I don't know, I don't always feel that way. So I guess that's just what I exude. Maybe it's my meditation practice that helps.
It's calming. It's calming for everyone that's around you. So
well, thank
you for that.
So let's see a little bit about me. You know, I'm serving the hardworking entrepreneur woman that maybe doesn't have any clue what she's doing. She's looking for that guidance of how to discover what is lighting her up, the things that she finds joy in, and really being able to nourish those parts of her in a very authentic way. That's really where I'm coming from, because that is what I have learned and experienced myself in these, like the recent 2 years. I'm relatively new to entrepreneurship compared to a lot of women, and I could not be more grateful that I stumbled upon this, because it has been the most rewarding experience being paid to basically discover myself and create this version of me that can help other women find their passion and their purpose and monetize it and just own their power. Like, never in my life did I expect that this would be a career for me. And I couldn't be more grateful for it. So I am in the health and wellness space because I am very, very passionate about all forms of well-being, whether that be spiritual, mental, physical. All of it is tied together, especially in your gut, but that's a different conversation. And then I have recently pivoted to the branding and marketing space because social media is like this magical unicorn that brings people together. And the people that I have met, like Alyece, I would never, ever have met if I would not have dove headfirst into social media, learning how to use these platforms and, you know, not only make money from them, but make these really, really fantastic connections with other people.
I love that. I love that because and I love that you said magical unicorn, because I said that the other day to someone in my own way. I don't remember what I said. It was a unicorn, but I was like, you know, a lot of people don't realize, of course, paid ads are an option, but you can do a lot on social media for free. So compare that marketing cost to the marketing costs that brick and mortars used to pay. That is affiliate marketing. That's how these companies are able to have, and I don't want to go on an affiliate tangent, but like that's how these companies are able to have affiliate marketers, because they're not paying thousands and thousands of dollars for billboards anymore. And so it really is magical because it not only brings people together, but it's allowed people to make money in a different way. And you know, the world is changing, and Alyece will go on I'll go on a whole tangent. So I'm gonna, but
well, I think yeah, and where I come from on that side of it is, I think also the way people are experiencing commerce, business, and social media, and how it's sort of all been layered now,
Yeah.
especially since 2020 and all the, madness that went on then. But I think it's just, people don't want to be lied to anymore when it comes to
Right.
marketing and advertising. And so the old school ways of, like, Mad Men and all that, people do not resonate with that form or level of branding and advertising and marketing because it's not realistic. Nobody lives those lives. We want to see what's really happening, and we want to see people actually experiencing these products or these services and how it's, like, quite literally affecting their lives and their finances, etc.
No, you're exactly right. And I love that part of social media because I'm a
Mhm.
very bold person. And I love that I can be that person and still attract people and make those connections and be transparent. And I just love it. And I love what you were talking about as far as like discovering yourself, because I myself am new to entrepreneurship. I left my 9 to 5 in June, and the things I have learned, I can't tell you that I can tell you I've learned a ton about social media marketing and marketing in general and things like that. But I think I've learned more about myself and what I actually want in life and how I want to be treated. And I'm
Mhm.
sure you can say the same, because coming from corporate into entrepreneurship, I'm like, I don't have to do that. I get a choice, I get options. So tell me, that was my own personal challenge, previously, as I would overcommit and I always felt like I was being forced to do things. But tell me about some challenges that you've had and some realizations that you've had growing through entrepreneurship.
Well, first challenge that came up for me was, what the heck is this? Like, where do I begin? What do I model after, when it comes to the content that I create, how I show up? So for me, I would say one of the biggest jumps in growth that I've seen in myself from, day one when I said yes to starting a network marketing business to now being in a network marketing business, but now having also found my passion of, being an entrepreneur and creating an entirely new space for myself and for the people around me. The biggest shift I've seen is, instead of trying to model after, everybody else you're seeing on social media. Okay, here's this really successful entrepreneur. I'm going to go ahead and be like her. I'm going to go create content like her, have it look the same, sound the same, all the things. That's what I was doing in the beginning. And it felt so foreign to me because, I mean, for one, I didn't know what I was doing. I had to start somewhere. So I don't regret it. But one of the biggest learning, growth aspects, I don't know, it's not saying that right, from then to now, is that I'm not afraid to just show up as me and stop emulating all of these other people. And that's just the coolest part about the way social media is, sort of the trajectory of it now, is that it's more rewarding to show up as you and really, really be the authentic you, even if it's a little bit weird, if it's a little bit funky, because there's so many other people out there that are now essentially being given permission by, us who are choosing to be vulnerable, to say, it's okay to be you. It's okay to be weird and funky and wonky and, like, just be you, because there's so many other people out there that are like that. Whereas before, there was this whole facade of, advertising and marketing that we were sort of trying to show up for or as opposed to sort of being our own versions of it. And so I think that's one of the biggest obstacles I've gone through with entrepreneurship, is kind of discovering that path of authenticity, which just seems really ironic that that's the hardest for me. It was one of the hardest parts of this whole thing, is just figuring out me and showing up as me. You would think that'd be the easiest thing.
Right.
Really
No,
not.
no, 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 no. I'm resonating with everything because, and I think I did a reel about it a couple weeks ago, but I said, as a child, I was always told I was too loud or too talkative
Mhm.
or too in your face, or I don't even know a great word to use for it, but like, not conceited, because I never came across as conceited, but like bragging or boastful or whatever you
Mhm.
want to say, you
Yeah.
know, and like all of these words. And I'm like, you know, as a child, I was told that, oh, you might hurt someone else's feelings. You might. And I mean, I'm in my 30s and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. You know, like I'm going to be me. And I mean, I'm in a very small town in Mississippi. And, you know, a lot of my friends on Facebook are from high school and things like that. And they're like, oh, here she is again, you know, but there's also a whole other type of women out there who have said, you've helped me in some way, or
Yes.
you have resonated with me in some way. And I'm like, you know what? That just shows how small our circles are growing up and
Mhm.
how there are so many people. So, I mean, I'm completely understanding what you're saying because, you know, I suppressed that for a while to try to fit in because as a child, you're told you gotta fit in. But
Yeah.
as an adult, I'm like, no, no, I don't. And through this entrepreneurship journey, I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do
Mhm.
that anymore. I know what I want. And that was one of the things I was asked when I first got into a coaching program was like, what does Alyece want? My coach asked me that. And I'm like, I can tell you all the things I don't want. I
Yeah.
can't really tell you what I do want. And she was like, okay, let's make a list of things you don't want. And then that way, so it is the hardest thing. It is
Yeah.
the hardest thing
Yeah, the
because
self-discovery aspect to entrepreneurship, and I don't think you're ever really done with it. It is
no,
it's ever
right.
evolving. I mean, who I am today compared to 6 months ago, like growth, it's
Yeah.
always happening if you allow it to happen and if you're like brave enough to just let it happen, because sometimes, most of the time, I mean, we are not necessarily in control of everything. It's really just the universe kind of and everything coming together. And knowing that like what you're doing today affects 90 days from now, all of the decisions that you make. And so entrepreneurship and having that shift in perspective of just sort of that my everyday can propel me forward instead of just being the same all the time, working the same job, doing the same things. Like no problem if like you like consistency, that's fantastic. I understand that. I do have a level of consistency and routine in my life, but at the same time, when you shift your brain into that entrepreneurial brain, you start to utilize every experience that you have, big and small, because it is a learning opportunity and it's a way to like further your self-discovery and clarity on your purpose of your business, all that stuff.
No, you're absolutely right. And I hope that and it's somewhere, you know, inside, I'm like, I hope that even the females out there that don't choose entrepreneurship understand how important the self-discovery aspect is. Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur,
No.
but I often wonder if I would have ever started to see that growth and see that shift and finally feel like I know exactly who I should be, who I want to be, where I'm going. Like for the first time in my life, I feel like I have clarity.
Hmm.
For so long, I played this game of like, you know, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, you know? And so I hope that women out there at least take the time to do some discovery for themselves, even if entrepreneurship is not where they choose. So I
Yeah.
love that you are so in tune with it and that,
And
you know, you are, like I said, your calming presence just makes me feel like you're just so patient and you're like, it's gonna be what it's
I
gonna
am very
be.
patient, and I think that comes
I
just
love
from
that. I love that
a
because
lot of
I'm
other things, but yeah. Uh, but I really love that you said that, not everybody vibes with entrepreneurship. And I totally get that. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would have said absolutely not, because I grew up with a mother who was an entrepreneur and she worked her butt off, like living paycheck to paycheck, because not to say she wasn't doing it right. I mean, there is no right way, but she was doing it in a way that wasn't sustainable, right? I mean, it was working her to the bone. And so if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would have been like, no, it's definitely not for me. I think I'll just take my safe 9 to 5. Um, but I agree with you in the fact that if I hadn't have stepped into it and just sort of like said, you know what, let's just try it. What could happen? The least that could happen is that I don't like it and I stop. If I hadn't have done it though, I think just like you, I maybe would have never ever discovered the clarity and like the self-worth and the ability to say no to things that I don't want to do. Like, I don't know that I would have that power that I have now.
I 100%. And I feel that, like I said, I feel the same way because I'm like, um, I would have kept putting everyone else first. And with 3 kids and a husband and a lot of family. And, when I chose entrepreneurship, an entrepreneur is one person. I chose
Yeah.
myself. I'm going to bet on myself.
Hmm.
And it kind of forced me to put some of my own needs first. And it's hard in the beginning because you're figuring things out. And I would say there's probably years of discovery still ahead of like, oh, I tried this route for entrepreneurship. I don't like that one. Go this way,
Yeah.
but like, um, yeah, no, I'm so glad that came up because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that, as far as doing that discovery. And then, we all as humans are wired to have a fear of being alone. And so many people are afraid to be authentic, afraid to step outside the box because they're scared they're going to be alone. And everything, I could take any
Right.
problem.
Guarantee you won't be alone.
I know I could take any problem in the world and bring it back to the fear of being alone. So let's get back to Social Jane though, because I could tangent about discovery forever. So tell me, you mentioned briefly that you've kind of pivoted into not necessarily getting away from health and wellness because you're very passionate, gut health, of course.
Yes.
But how, branding kind of spoke to you. You're really good at it. I know people were reaching out to you about it. So tell me a little bit about, I think you have something coming up for branding. Tell me about what you've got going on, how people can reach out to you and get in touch with you about branding. What does your branding world look like?
So I came into some clarity recently around branding and marketing because while on this entrepreneurial journey, I sort of discovered that graphic design and just sort of the aesthetics of all of the content that I was putting out there, I was getting a lot of conversation back to me of where did I find this thing? How did this, come about? And I finally recognized, and this was something I was totally unaware of, was that, oh, well, this must be a strength of mine. And obviously, I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I think that's actually why I didn't recognize it as a business opportunity, is because I was having so much fun doing it. And when you're having a lot of fun doing something, you don't think about the money part of it. When you're having a lot of fun doing something, money is usually not the driver of it. If you think about all of your favorite things to do, is it because you're making money at it? Most likely not. And so it obviously took me a little bit of time, and it took other people coming to me saying, hey, I am really loving the aesthetic of this. I'm loving the branding. How did you do this? And all of these questions, when I finally, the light bulb went off and said, oh, well, I need to stop keeping this a secret. All of these things I'm learning, I need to be sharing this with people. Because there are so many other women out there, whether entrepreneur or they just want to show up as their best selves, through their socials or for their businesses. They need to know these tips and tricks, right? So I do actually have a free workshop that's happening on November 17th. We're going to be diving into Canva. It is a free design app. There is a paid version, but we're going to try to stick to some of the free stuff so it is accessible for absolutely everybody. And it is just a really, really fun way for me to connect with all of you guys, show you the things that I've learned, and just dive into a lot of these functions and features that this app has that maybe you just haven't played around with yet. And we'll have a couple days of bonuses where we can build out, your Facebook covers and all that kind of stuff. So you can actually get some real results and some real work done by taking a listen to, these bonuses and taking part.
Awesome. And I will, for anyone that's listening, if you're watching this on, Facebook or YouTube, or if you're listening on my podcast, I will make sure that you have a registration link, or how do you want people to register for it?
Yeah, the best way would be to click the link in my bio for inside of my Instagram. It's at Sarah Jane Glenn, Sarah with an H. And so, yeah, my milkshake link has everything you'll need there. And my Facebook group name is Social Jane. So you can also find information in there. And that is where the workshop will be streamed.
Perfect.
So,
I'll put the links, direct links in the show notes as well.
mhm.
And then of course, if you're on Facebook, because we don't do captions in the or links in the captions, check the comments, but I'll make sure that all of Sarah's information is linked for you to be able to access, because I think you could learn a lot from Sarah. I know I get a lot of questions on branding. And just people are always asking me about Canva trainings. I actually had 2 DMs last week about it. So I'm excited to go back to them and say, go to Sarah, because I haven't done a Canva training in a minute. And I have a couple in my group, but I'm excited because I think they get so much more out of watching live and participating.
Mhm.
So I know of 2 ladies that have asked me about Canva. So I'm definitely going to get the link out of your milkshake and send it to them, because I think it's important for people to participate and be able to ask questions.
Yeah.
Recordings are great, but asking questions are prime is key.
Mhm.
So, well, I appreciate you being here and talking with me so much so much more today. I just, like I said, you just made me feel so much calmer. I'm gonna keep saying that, and I'm just gonna have a great day now, because I've
Yeah. Well,
smoothed
maybe my
it.
second life
Um,
can be like a yoga meditation teacher. Maybe that can be my second life.
yeah, yes, you should. Oh my gosh.
Yoga retreats on
Well,
the beach. Let's go.
I did
I'm
I
here for
know,
it.
right? I have my big beach behind
Yes.
me, and occasionally I blend in with it because I wear a lot of blue and I wear a lot of plaid. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, side note before we end this thing. Tell me about Social Jane. Where did that come from? Where did Social Jane? Because your name's Sarah. So like
So yeah, I know it doesn't seem to fit.
tell me how it fits.
So my real name is actually Sarah Jane.
Okay. Okay.
My mother's name is Jane, and when I was growing up until I was about 18, everybody called me Sarah Jane or SJ. I mean, it was just that
Right.
was how I was known. Anybody that knows me from back in the day, that's still what they call me. But for some odd reason, when I started filling out college applications and, starting to adult, basically, the Jane just sort of got dropped. Like nobody was recognizing it. It was just assumed as my middle name, I suppose. And so I was like, well, I'm just not going to fight the fight my entire life. So I'm going to be Sarah. Um, but honestly, ever since then, I feel like I've kind of been living a half truth,
Yeah.
because to just say Sarah doesn't really sound like me, because I just didn't grow up that way.
Cool. That is cool.
Yeah. And my husband actually came up with Social Jane because we were sort of spitballing some ideas. And I'm like, I really want the SJ, I'm thinking ahead because of branding. And I'm like, what is the logo going to look like? What are all of the variations of the logo going to look like? Let's come up with something. And he's like, what about Social Jane? I said, oh my God, I love it. So
I love
it really just
it.
encompasses
Yes. That is
somebody who
cool.
loves food, loves to talk, loves to connect.
Just social in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Networking and bringing brand. Oh man, I love that. Okay. I had to ask because
I'm so glad you did.
I get asked a lot about the spelling of mine. And you're right.
Mhm.
With branding, you have to think visionary. You have to think, where's my brand going to be, in
Mhm.
the future? Because we all hate when Walmart rearranges the aisles. Well, people don't like when you change your logos and
Right.
stuff because it's not recognizable. So I love that you are
And you
thinking.
have to feel connected to it, and so
Yeah,
I sat with
well,
it
it's
for
kind of like
a
coming
good
back to
week ago.
your authentic self. It's
Mhm.
all tying you back to your authentic self. So I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing. I was like, I hope she doesn't mind me asking, but I
No,
want
not at
to.
all. And I wanted to mention too, if anybody in your audience here, like if you're into recipes, cooking in the kitchen, all that kind of stuff, I do
Yeah.
a lot of that in my group as well, because just food is love. I love to cook. I love to eat. And
Yes.
I love to do it in a way that is like, it takes things you love, puts a healthier spin on it. So that's a
I love that.
fun
I love
side
that. And I
too.
think it's very needed during the holidays
Oh,
because
100%.
there's too many temptations during the holidays for sure. And
Yeah.
I believe in indulgence a little bit, but I think
Balance
during the
is key,
holidays we
right?
just kind of blow it out of the water. So I think having healthy swaps and things like that is very important
Yeah.
during the holidays.
Yeah.
So Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And like I said, anyone that was listening, please check either the comments or the show notes. I will make sure all of Sarah's contact information is linked there. That way you can get in her workshop on the 17th.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been
Of
so fun.
Of course. And I look forward to hearing your podcast soon. I know it's
Absolutely.
it's on your
You'll be
vision
on an
board,
episode.
so I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear about your podcast. I know it's coming. And I know you've got a lot of plans for it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of things planned for the future. So
yes. Awesome. Well, I hope you have a great day. And thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you tune in on Tuesdays for our Quick Tip Tuesday. And then, of course, as always, interviews on Thursdays with female entrepreneurs. So I will talk to y'all soon. Hey, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I'm Alyece Smith, your host, and let me tell you how you can get a free social media audit from me. Make sure that your profile is optimized and you're ready to build. Take a screenshot of you listening to this episode, throw it in your stories and tag me. You can find my handle in the show notes. I will share it to my entire audience, and you will be entered to win one of the 5 free audits that I'll be doing every single month. Number 2, if you found any value out of this episode or any of my episodes at all, please feel free to leave a review. It is the best compliment you can give. Lastly, make sure you check out the link to get into my free community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. It's in the show notes. We go live in there weekly with guest trainings and more. Until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome.